Good morning, my friends. It is a beautiful sunny day in Yuma, Arizona. Look at that blue sky with the white clouds, the green palm trees. I'm currently at my dad's house. You can see his house right there. And then his big Class A RV parked in the back right in front of mine. I'm hanging out today. It's a beautiful day outside, but look at these temperatures. It's only 10:36 a.m., 83 degrees inside, 103.8 degrees outside. It is heating up. It is getting way too hot to be here in Arizona. We gotta get on the move. For right now, I'm gonna turn on the air conditioner, get this thing cranking. Find a little bit of relief. Now I have the windows open because I really enjoy being able to sleep with a breeze at night. It still does cool down in the evenings here in Arizona. It drops down to like 70, 71. And so last night I had the windows open. Love the breeze. And then in the morning, you know, you hear the birds chirping. So I really do like to leave my windows open as much as possible. But it's at the point now that it's too dang hot. So it's time to seal her up, let the AC run. There's a lot to talk about today, but I'm gonna get started with my morning espresso. No Starbucks today. We're not doing Starbucks, we're gonna make our own. We're gonna do the DIY Nomad Brad espresso today, which is preferred. I do enjoy making my own coffee. Get a little boost from the caffeine today. So there's a lot of things to talk about today. The first thing, a little bit after first I got to get this coffee going so I can think straight. But I'll just give you guys a little highlight. We're going to talk about my van. Has my van sold? Did it sell? Is it going to sell? Am I starting a new build? Am I traveling this summer? What's Nomad Brad going to be doing? We're going to talk about that as soon as I make this coffee. And then we'll talk about what summer's going to look like for Nomad Brad based on the outcome of the sale of the van. But first, we got to drink this coffee. And here it is, our fresh DIY espresso. Let's check this out. Look at that. Looking tasty. Feeling hot. Smelling rich. Let's go. Woo, that's hot. So we have a lot of things to discuss today. Let's get into it. Pull up a chair. Get comfortable. I'm gonna sit here at my desk with my fresh espresso. Look out the window. See what's going on. I love just sitting here in the morning, having my coffee, watching the world. So the first thing I want to talk about is the sale of this box truck. For those of you that have been watching my videos, you know this box truck has been for sale for a few months. My intentions are to sell this truck and then use the proceeds to purchase another truck and start an even larger, more custom, more fancy, tiny home on wheels build out. That's the plan. I had a buyer who was interested in purchasing the box truck, really the only serious buyer that actually wanted me to take it in, have it inspected, and we had discussions about them flying out from LA and purchasing the vehicle. And so that's what I did in last week's video. I took the box truck into the local mechanic to have it went through, make sure it's in good condition. I shared the inspection report with you guys last week. There were a couple minor things that needed attention, you know, a few hours labor for one thing, a few hours for the other, nothing too crazy. So I sent the inspection report to the prospective buyer. They had to look it over, and then he told me he was going to check with his local mechanic and run it by his local mechanic and see what his local mechanic thought. And then I didn't hear anything from him for about 3 days. And then 3 days later, I got a message from him, and he said, hey, you know, we need more info on this van. He asked for the first thing he wanted to know is he wanted the U-Haul records from the servicing of this vehicle before I purchased it. Keep in mind, U-Haul hasn't owned this vehicle for at least 5 years because I bought it from a private party. I didn't buy this directly from U-Haul. This was a U-Haul like 2 owners ago. So this guy's looking for service history from 2 owners ago when U-Haul owned it. And he said, you know, is it possible that we can contact U-Haul and get these service records? And then in the same message, he also says, can you provide more documentation on the transmission brake replacement that you did? Which I don't really have documentation for that because the first replacement I did by myself up in New Mexico in the forest. And then the second time, I had a U-Haul, my friend who's a U-Haul mechanic do it, but he works on the side. You know what I mean? It's not a mechanic shop, so I don't have any records, and he works for U-Haul. I don't know if he's supposed to be doing side work, so he can't like write me up a receipt. Anyway, long story short, I could tell the buyer was super unfamiliar with used vehicles, purchasing used vehicles. Like for me, all 4 vehicles that I've purchased to convert into tiny homes, Econoline E250 cargo van, Econoline E450 shuttle bus, and then 2 Econoline E450 box trucks. That's 4 vehicles I've purchased. I've always just bought them from random people on Facebook Marketplace. I've kind of looked them over myself. If they look decent, then I bought them. And every time the vehicles have mostly turned out to be fine. I always plan on when you purchase a used vehicle, something's gonna break within the first, you know, month or 2 that you have it. You're gonna have to spend $1,000 or a couple $1,000s on miscellaneous this and that, but that's just all kind of part of the game, right? When you're buying an older used vehicle. So I could tell from speaking with this buyer, he just doesn't have much experience buying used vehicles. Maybe he's never bought a used vehicle. Maybe he's leased vehicles, I don't know. But I could tell what he was getting at by wanting all these records is he was uncertain about this vehicle. And so he was looking for like evidence and documentation that was going to tell him that this was a safe purchase. And going along with that, if you kind of like try to expand that a little bit further, I think what he was really trying to get at is that he's going to buy this vehicle and it's going to be in perfect condition, and he's not going to have breakdowns. He's not going to have to repair anything. He's going to be able to just get in it and drive and not have any issues. And that is not the case. The main thing is I don't want to mislead anybody here, especially having a YouTube audience. I don't want to put anybody in a compromised position. I don't want to tell somebody this rig is perfect and it's going to be flawless and you're going to just drive off into the sunset and live your perfect nomad life. Because that doesn't happen, even with new vehicles. You know, you can go buy a new Mercedes Sprinter and then you can, I've seen issues with the DEF system and all kinds of stuff can come up. So I had to just tell this guy, I said, look, I understand what's going on here. I don't think this is the vehicle for you. I said, you're reading into this too much. I've given you all the maintenance records that I have from, I've taken it to quite a few mechanics. I have all those records. I've showed him those. You have the YouTube videos of the work I've done, and you had it inspected by an independent mechanic. And he gave it flying colors, besides, you know, a few little maintenance things that can be taken care of relatively easily. And so I was just like, this is not the vehicle for you, man. The reality is, it's almost a 20-year-old vehicle. It's got almost 140,000 miles. It's gonna need ongoing maintenance. Stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna have a breakdown. That's the number one thing I tell new van lifers is you're gonna have a breakdown. It's not if, or it's just a matter of when is it gonna happen. You can't really avoid it. So, you know, and this guy too, he's not a nomad. He's never lived in a vehicle before. So this is like his first time. And I was like, dude, you should just probably go buy something that's go buy a Transit or a Sprinter that's like 2 years old and it still has a warranty, and maybe that'll give you some peace of mind. But I said, I don't think this is the right vehicle for you. You know, in reality, the right buyer for this would be someone that understands older vehicles and kind of just how to, you know, how to operate and maintain one. You know, I'm always kind of just looking over the vehicle. When I pull into a gas station, I'm looking at the tires, I'm looking under the rig, I'm looking to see, is it leaking any fluid? Is there, you know, oil dripping? I mean, you kind of got to just keep an eye on it, just in general, right? You got to check the oil levels, check the fluid levels. So you have a little responsibility when you're getting into a rig like this. So that's what I told him. I said, this is not for you. Go buy something new. And what's interesting is when I sent him that, he didn't give me any pushback. He just replied and said, okay, I understand. Thanks anyway. Good luck with the sale. So he was like, you know, he was super cool. And I think he was in over his head and he knew it. And I think he was just hesitant, maybe hesitant to tell me that he didn't want to buy it. And I think also, you know, because we'd been talking, at this point, we'd been emailing back and forth for probably a month, sharing details and talking about stuff. So I think also, plus he paid for an inspection. So I think he was also kind of, you know, committed to a point that he didn't necessarily want to go back and start over. So, but when I sent him that and he said, cool, then I think it was best for everybody. I took the pressure off him. He doesn't have to worry about it. And so now I know the van is not going to sell before summertime. And so now it's time for Nomad Brad to make summer plans. And I've been super clear and open about the fact that I'm cool with whatever happens, right? I'd love to sell the rig and start a new build right now and then hit the road and do some building on the road during the summer. But that's not going to happen. So now what's going to happen is Nomad Brad is going to travel through the summer. We're going to have a good time. We're going to go explore some cooler places, some kind of unknown places. And then I'll start a new build in the fall. And so the main thing was I needed the money from the sale of this van to buy a new rig and start the build. But if I have all summer to travel and make videos and do solar installs and make money, I already have a pretty good amount in my savings. So by the time fall rolls around and I come back to Arizona, I'll have enough money that I can just buy the vehicle that I want for cash and start the build. And then at the same time, I'll list this van for sale again in the fall and I'll drop the price because at the end of the day, this isn't like a money-making thing for me. I just want to get enough money to cover the new build, however that works. So I'll relist it in the fall, I'll drop the price, I'll clear it out, we'll move it on to the next buyer, and we'll start the next build out. I'm very excited. For those that are wondering, I'm going to be doing an Isuzu NPR box truck, either a 16 or an 18-foot box. The reason I really like the Isuzus is because I can get an 8-foot ceiling and an 8.5-foot wide box, plus 16 or 18 feet long. So it's going to be monster. It's going to be a legitimate tiny home on wheels. So in the past, I've converted vehicles and made them kind of like a tiny home, but not fully featured. I've never had a bathroom in any of my rigs. I have a toilet, never a bathroom, never hot water, that type of stuff. This next build is going to be fully featured. I have some crazy plans for it. It's going to be beautiful, modern. It's going to have some really cool features that you guys haven't seen before. I got some unique ideas up here we're going to implement. So I'm very excited for the build. However, for now, we got to focus on the path ahead, summer travel plans. So what that's going to look like for me is I'm kind of thinking about just spending the summer in Arizona. I'm thinking about traveling north, exploring some of the towns up at higher elevations, checking out Williams, Arizona, St. John's, Arizona, Flagstaff. I'll probably avoid Sedona. Sedona is really busy in the summer because everybody from Phoenix goes to Sedona to relax in the cooler weather. And just in general, Sedona is not super van life friendly. They don't like you in town. So I'm going to avoid Sedona, but I'll do a lot of traveling. And then ultimately, I have to end up in Nevada at the end of August. I'm going to Burning Man again. Very excited about it. And so, since I'm going to be doing this traveling, I'm going to be remote out in places where cell reception is not necessarily fantastic. I have been using Connecten Internet for my Nomad internet services. It's been really a good device. I've been using it for the last probably 4 months. It can work on multiple carriers, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. I really have no complaints about it. It's been an awesome system. It's truly unlimited internet. The speeds are very good. I've never really had an issue with like downloads and streaming and watching things, but I have had a couple times where the internet is just not good enough for me to do YouTube live streams. Live streaming takes a lot of data because you're sending and receiving, so your download and your upload speeds have to be fast. And so I've decided to get Starlink. I'm very excited about it, so I'll have, no matter what, I'll have reliable, strong internet signal wherever I go, in the mountains, in the forest, be able to hang out with you guys, and you can see what I'm up to. So here's the components we're going to be working with today. We have the Starlink Gen 3. This is the full-size dish with the Roam data plan. It's the big boy that's going to go up on the roof. I'm going to mount it to the rooftop deck. Additionally, we got the Starlink Wi-Fi router. Over here, this is the power brick. We got a power cable for the power brick. And then additionally, here is the cable that will connect between the dish and the router. And I bought a couple additional things just to make the install a little bit better. So since I'm living in a van, space is limited, and so I wanted to try to make everything as simple as possible. So basically the power supply mounts here, the router mounts here, and then I'm going to end up installing those probably down here under my work desk, maybe on the side, one here, one down there, so that way everything's tucked up out of the way. And then additionally, I ordered from Star Gear, I ordered a flat mount for the Starlink. So this guy right here will bolt to the roof, to the deck board on my roof. It'll bolt right down, and then the Starlink slides on top, and that will hold it in place. Here we are up on the roof at my dad's house, Yuma, Arizona. It's a beautiful day. It's going to be a hot one. So I want to try to get this satellite dish mounted before it gets too crazy. What's interesting is it's sitting flat. The mount is sitting flat, but it actually pitches the dish at a little bit of an angle. As I'm driving and the wind is coming this way, it should just scoop that wind right up over the dish. So as far as aerodynamics go, that should be a pretty good choice. We'll screw in that base, and then I'm gonna run the cabling. It'll be nice, I can run the cabling just right down the center there with my solar wire, and then I'll come across and drop down and go alongside the air conditioning, copper air conditioning lines. It's a 3/8 head, so we got a 3/8 ratchet. So when I do the cable, I'm gonna leave a little extra slack bundled up over here so that I can, in theory, remove the dish and then unplug it if I need to. So we're back on the roof. Got the Starlink cable there, all ran down and secured down in with the solar wires. So now I'll be able to put Dicor on these bolts. plug in the cable, goes right down in here. And I did leave enough slack so that I can pull the dish off. There it is. You guys heard that click. Clicked into place. And then I'm going to use the screwdriver to just tighten it down. And that's it for the old Starlink roof mount. Overall, a pretty simple process. Okay, that's it. It's in place. Feels very solid, very rigid. And again, I really do like the angle of this dish with the flat mount actually, because you can see the pitch on it. So as I'm driving, air's coming down, it's gonna swoop right up over the top of that dish. So there shouldn't be like any drag or lift or anything created. So it should be a pretty good solution. Should be a pretty good long-term solution. Back inside the home on wheels. It's amazing how quickly it gets messy in here when I'm doing a project. But anyway, let's do a temperature check, a time check. Currently 12:02 p.m. on Tuesday. 96 degrees outside, 84 degrees inside. Man, it's hot outside. I think I'm gonna call that good for right now. I'm gonna take a break, make some food, clean up the van. Basically, all I have to do now is, my plan is to drill a hole through the wall, come into this little cabinet here, and then I'm gonna mount the router and power supply up on the wall there. So that'll be the kind of the last portion of it. I want to show you my battery levels. I've been running the air conditioner since probably 10 a.m. to keep it cool. We cooked a little egg brunch. I made coffee twice, 2 cups of coffee, and I had the TV going watching YouTube. And we'll pull up this Victron Smart Shunt, and you can see my battery is 99% charged. So with all this stuff going on, running the air conditioner, doing all the things, I still have a fully charged battery bank. So I'm absolutely loving the combination of my 1200 watts of solar, or 1280 watts of solar, combined with a over 10,000 watt hour Epoch lithium battery bank. It's a really nice combo, and I really, really love how well it performs. All right, so here's where we're at. I brought the cable all the way down. I ended up adding some little zip tie bases to the bottom of my solar panels to secure the Starlink cable. And then we brought the cable down, and I kind of hid it in there with my air conditioning wire. So now we got to get the Starlink cable inside the box truck. So I'm gonna drill another hole just right over here. So here's what we're gonna do. I have a 1-inch paddle bit, and I lined it up. It looks pretty close to the size of that opening. All right, so I needed an extension. Got this guy. That'll give me a little more reach. And that's it. We just bored through about 6 inches of material. See the hole right there? My finger goes all the way inside, and I'm not even to the back of it. That's how far down that goes. That's pretty crazy. Let's find a good path for this wire. We want to go up and over like this. Okay, and then we want to go in like that. And there we are. Perfect. So I'm getting ready now to seal up the hole, push this grommet in. I got some latex silicone sealant right here. I'm letting the sun heat it up so that it spreads out super even. So while the sun heats that up, we'll hop inside and see what's happening. The next thing we got to do is we got to get from this cavity here, we got to get through this wall, which will be easy. And I think I'm going to bust it through on the back side, and then I'll bring it up and maybe spool the extra cable and hang it right up there, and then just come through the wall. Okay, and right here, there it is. Okay. And there we are. Cable is through. But first, I think we should go seal up that whole outside. That caulking has got to be good and warm by now. It should be flowing pretty easy. And what I really want to do is try to fill this hole up as much as possible. Just because this is where water could potentially come in. I mean, we're gonna seal the hell out of it, but. So we put a nice fat booger on there. And then we're gonna slide this in. And let me shoot some down in the bottom here. So there it is right there. The one on the left, that's the one we just added. So you can see it's that, you can barely even see the black piece because there's so much caulking on the outside. So that should be a nice watertight seal where we shouldn't have to worry about any water penetrating it. That looks pretty good right there. So we'll send this one in. There we go. Solid. And then I'm gonna hand tighten it with the screwdriver. I always tighten stuff by hand just so I can feel how tight it is. We don't strip anything out. That feels good. That feels good. And then we'll hand tighten it like that. Oh yeah, that's tight. And like this, okay. Then we got the power supply. Plug that in, so that's locked in, and then we'll drop that guy just like that, and there it is, steadily locked in. And then we'll plug the power cable in right here like that, and then the Starlink data from the dish goes in right there. Bam, bam. Okay. And we'll pull that down. And there we go. So here it is, a final look under the desk. The Starlink, you can see everything fits perfect. Still have easy access of the vacuum. Got the router mounted up tall. Power supply right underneath, tucked away. Got the wires zip tied up, mounted to the wall. I also mounted my MacBook charger. So got a couple nice little improvements that'll just help make the summer road trip that much more enjoyable. Looking forward to it. If you made it this far in the video, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you for watching. You struggled with me through that Starlink install. Overall, it turned out really nice. I'm not going to fire it up yet as far as turning it on and testing it. That's going to be for another video. And we're going to do quite a bit of testing with the Starlink compared to the Connecten mobile hotspot router. So during the summer, we're going to do all kinds of traveling to remote places. We're going to test and see how everything works, how the Starlink works, how the Connecten works, how much power they draw, all kinds of long-term testing. So stay tuned for that. And I have about another week and a half here in Yuma. Got a few things to wrap up, and then we're going to hit the road. I'm very, very excited about it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me for this summer of travel in Arizona. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. This is Nomad Brad signing out.
Peace.